Hello everyone, and I'd like to welcome everybody to video number 14 already. I feel I have to break a promise because I did say that video 14 was going to talk about the C styles. Remember, we've been talking about the A styles and the B styles, but now we're going into the C styles. But like I said, I feel I have to prioritize something because since video 13 came out, I was suddenly besieged with a lot of frequently asked questions, and the questions do come out repetitively. So I thought of making a video out of it so that if I get more questions, I can just refer the inquirers to video number 14. These are the 10 most common questions that came out ever since I posted the B3 style, which is the compromise, in the last video, and that's what we will be talking about for this particular video. Before we go on, I'd like to remind that we're talking about the IELTS writing test, particularly task 2 writing. This is an essay that requires you to write this is a task that requires you to write an essay at a minimum of 250 words at a time limit of 40 minutes. And this is what we should call as argumentative writing, meaning that you are positing arguments on a particular controversy or a particular issue. And out of those arguments, you now come up with your idea or your conviction as regards to the given issue. The entire series of videos from videos 1 up to this point, video 14, is going to talk about 5 essential problem solving strategies to score a minimum band 7. You've already if you've been watching the videos from video 1, you've already gone through these 5 essential problem solving strategies. So you have the A1, A2, and then the B1, B2, and the B3 styles. So the C styles, as you will find out, are really just variants of these 5 essential problem solving strategies. Again, let me remind, by this time you must have been already convinced, owing to the many passer essays that I've shown you in the series of videos. I really have a lot more, and I wish I could cram them all into these videos, but of course that's gonna be very difficult and very taxing to do. But at least right now you already can see that the videos are really, the strategies are really cutting edge, meaning that they will really get the job done, and they are very effective in order to score minimum band 7. And they are also very revelatory, meaning that these are really strategies that you've never found anywhere, and not even the least of which is from IELTS. So IELTS really doesn't really reveal the, although they do have the criteria, the public criteria for judging the essays, they really do not reveal the essence of the strategies, as this series of videos have shown. You've previously unheard of them. This is really a product of research, and the reason why we had to go into the research to begin with is because we haven't seen them anywhere. These strategies are not haven't been discussed in any of the videos that you've seen on YouTube or in any other internet site or any other material that you may have read about the IELTS. And that being said, all of the strategies are proven and effective, and there's no more question as to the efficacy of these strategies. So all that you need to do is to learn from them and realize your very own band 7 score. Very quick review. Like I keep mentioning, we've already posted 13 videos, and this is already video number 14. So as a quick review, videos 1 to 4 are really talking about the one-sided essays, or for all intents and purposes, these are essays that talk about the to what extent do you agree or disagree type of question. Although just be wary, to what extent question can be one-sided, or it can also be a crossover, as I've emphasized in the past videos. So let's assume that the question is one-sided, particularly one-sided to what extent. So video 1 is talking about the agree style, wherein all you need to do is to agree to the proposition posited and then come up with a series of arguments to defend it. For video number 2, this happens when you now disagree to a one-sided question proposition. And as I've noticed in one-sided question propositions, it's quite easy to disagree with them. So take note that you cannot, there's really no one-sided disagree style. So when it comes to the disagree, then you'll have to implement the cardinal rule, the very first cardinal rule, which states that if the writer disagrees with the proposition, he or she should not forget to kill the arguments of the agree side. Again, it's a two-step process. You'll have to mention the arguments of the agree side first, there, and then you follow these arguments with the corresponding kill arguments. And I'm sure in the earlier video, I had FAQs on what I had an FAQ video, and one of the questions there was asking how should we define the kill. So there's the definition of the kill for you. To kill means to render the arguments of the opposing opinion completely false or illogical. So that's a very fundamental description. Please don't forget about the kill. So remember, to what extent you agree or disagree. If this happens to be a one-sided question, when you disagree, then you'll have to perform two steps. You mention the arguments of the opposing opinion, and then you kill the arguments of the opposing opinion. Video number 3 is a support video wherein we talked about actual passer essays which use either the A1 or the A2 style. And as soon as the 3 videos come out, I was now flooded with frequently asked questions on the A1 and A2 styles. And it's from that video where we came up with cardinal rule number 2, which this cardinal rule states that everything that's in the question prompt should be duly expounded, expanded, explained, and elaborated in the essay. So this question was actually motivated by, this cardinal rule was motivated by the question as to why there is no such thing as a one-sided disagree. When you disagree to a one-sided question prompt, why do you have to mention the arguments of the agree side first? And why do you have to kill these arguments of the agree side? And so the answer to that question is because the arguments of the agree side are explicitly stated in the question prompt. And so you should duly expound, expand, explain, and elaborate it in the essay first before you proceed to kill these arguments. So if that is quite confusing for you, so I would recommend that you go back to videos 1 and 3 so as to find out exactly what I mean about this. Moving on to the next videos, from videos 5 to videos number 13, we were now talking about the crossover question prompt. So crossovers by definition are essay questions where there are clearly two sides of the issue being mentioned. And so for the crossover, we went to video number 5, which talked about a variant of the A2 style, which is called the kill and bury. So remember, the kill is where you mention the arguments of the opposing opinion and then you kill these arguments. Now bury now refers to the arguments of your own opinion, your own side of the issue. Video number 6 talked about actual passer essays which use the kill and bury style. And so remember, in videos number 5 and videos number 6, we were still talking about to what extent questions. There are certain to what extent questions that explicitly mention two sides of an issue, and that is now when you mandatorily apply the kill and bury style. From video number 7, we now talked about the crossover. So for all intents and purposes, these are essay questions where two sides of an issue are mentioned, and then the prompt is something like discuss both views and give your opinion, or what are the advantages and disadvantages, these kinds of questions. And from here, we now see the cardinal rule number 3, which states that in a crossover question prompt, should the writer choose one value over the other, the writer is mandatorily required to kill and bury the arguments of the opposing side. There. So if you notice, the kill is really quite what's the term for it? It's really a very resourceful strategy where you can actually use it for one-sided question prompts or crossover question prompts. So that is the A2 style. And then of course video number 8 is a support video which now talked about actual essays which I'm sorry, video number 8 is actually a support video which served as the primer for the B styles. So video number 9 is now what we call the coexist, the B1 style. This is really the layman term, the coexist. There, we need to type that over there. And the B2 style now is what we call the it depends kind of essay there. And then video number 11 is a support video which showed actual passer essays which use either the B1 and the B2 style and scored a minimum band 7. So come video 12, there was another support video which talked about the B3 style. So what happened here is I sampled an essay or 2 essays which actually scored band 7s using the B3 style. And come video number 13, we now came upon the formal lecture on the B3 style, which is now what we call the compromise essay. So out of the B styles, remember the B style started in video 8 up to video 13. We now came up with cardinal rule number 4. So for all B styles, the writer should treat both sides of the issue in balance. It is the balance of the two sides which raises a dilemma and necessitates a problem solver. So the primary difference between the B and the A styles is for the B styles, you're actually talking about two sides of the issue in balance. You kind of agree with both sides of the issue. And so this kind of raises problems, and the only way to solve the problems are using 3 styles. Where in the B1 style, the writer argues that both sides of the issue can coexist at the same time right now. For the B2 style, the writer argues that both sides of the issue can coexist at the same time, but only upon the implementation of certain depending circumstances. And in the B3 style, the writer argues that both sides of the issue can coexist at the same time, but only upon the implementation of a certain compromise action. So that's a comprehensive summary of all the videos that we've gone through. So if somehow some of the descriptions have been confusing, so do just make sure to go back to the relevant video. And for newcomers, I really recommend that you go through videos 1 to 13 in their numerical order, because if you try to go right into the middle, it's really gonna end up confusing you. So now the purpose of this video is to go into the frequently asked questions. Like I said earlier, I really wanted to make this into a video because I'm sure I'm gonna get these questions quite frequently. So in case the questions do come up again, so I can just refer the student to video number 14. So one of the most frequently asked questions is, how do you know which style to use? So that really is a good question. So I'm gonna go back to that later. I feel that really is the question that overrides all the other questions. Remember, there are 5 styles, so I guess that's a very relevant question. Let's go back to that later. Question number 2 is asking if when do you use the kill to A style and the kill to A the kill and bury A2 style. So the answer to this question is really the A2 kill style. There, kill style is used for one-sided question prompts, and then the A2 kill and bury style is used for crossover question prompts. Alright, there, over there. So that's why we call it the kill and bury, because the bury is actually the side with which you particularly agree with or you side on, and the kill is the opposing opinion, where you mention first the arguments of the opposing side and then you kill it. So obviously, when the question prompt is one-sided, it kind of only mentions one side of the issue. So all you really need to do is to discuss that side of the issue. And if you disagree with that side of the issue, then you now perform the kill style, wherein you mention its own arguments and then kill it right afterwards. Question number 3 is asking to what extent question always for the A styles. I think this has already been that's kind of related to number 4, is to what extent always one-sided. So I think that kind of relates to the question, the answer we just had for letter B. There really are I mean, there really are to what extent questions that are actually crossovers. And in order to find out what that means, then you'll just have to go back to video number 5, where we talked about the A2 style, the kill and bury. This is really a to what extent question that is actually a crossover. So the to what extent question is not always one-sided. And as regards to question number 3, is a to what extent question always for the A styles. You can actually use the B styles for this as well, and that's something I will demonstrate for you later in one of the practice one of the lessons I've had with one of the students of mine. And then number 5 is asking about the difference between the completely agree or disagree and the partially agree or disagree. So I guess this is really just a matter of semantics. When you partially agree or disagree to a particular issue or argument, then what you're really doing is you're applying already the B styles. And with regards to the completely agree or disagree, what you're really implementing are the A styles. So I guess that kind of differentiates the difference between the two. Next, question number 6 is, can you apply the B3 style for a to what extent question? So this is kind of related to, remember the B3 is the compromise. So that one is kind of related to question number 3, which is asking is a to what extent question always for the A styles. Alright, now question number 7. The B1 style is just like the A1 style. So I guess this is a very good observation, because remember A1 style is a agree essay, agree to one side of the issue. And so the B1 style now is what you call the agree to both sides of the issue. So remember, the B style is inherently a crossover style. We're talking about two sides of an issue. And then the A style, A1 style, is inherently a one-sided question prompt. So the answer to that question is yes. It's actually very similar to each other. And question number 8 asks, can one disagree to both sides of an issue? So this is actually a possible argumentative strategy, and this is really a variance of the B1 style, wherein instead of agreeing to both sides, the writer disagrees to both sides of the issue. In so doing, if the writer would like to disagree to both sides of the issue rather than agree to both sides of the issue, as is the technicality of the B1 style, then the writer is now obligated to kill the arguments of both sides of the issue. So maybe we should demonstrate that in a future video. That's a very interesting question. Can one disagree to both sides of the issue? The answer is really yes. And then question number 9, is it okay to use more than 2 body paragraphs? Yeah, I do get this question a lot. Remember, for example, in the B3 styles, I'm gonna just show you a sample of the B3 style. So this is the B3 style, or the compromise. So there you have your introduction, and then here you have your arguments for one side of the issue, and then here you have your arguments for the opposing side of the issue. Sorry about that there. So ideally, these two arguments are very equal, and so the only way to resolve this controversy is to use the compromise. That will allow the win-win, or both of them, to actually be applied at the same time. with some form of meeting halfway. So that's what you call the compromise, and then now you conclude the essay accordingly. So what you notice here is you have 3 body paragraphs, and I do get a lot of questions asking, why is it that we have 3 body paragraphs? Aren't we supposed to have just 2 body paragraphs? And then the answer to that is there really is no rule that limits the number of paragraphs a student would like to use. You can have 5 body paragraphs if you want, if you can actually meet that time requirement for it. But of course, as you can see in many of the trainer videos, they essentially just use 2 body paragraphs. So I would say that is really the minimum. And however, there are certain cases where you really have to inject a 3rd body paragraph, just like in the compromise, wherein the 3rd body paragraph is the one that resolves the issue. It's the problem solver, so to speak. So it really depends. If you're, for example, using the B3 style, then I would assume that you need to use 2 body paragraphs. Or the kill and birdie style, you have to use more than 2 body paragraphs. And so maybe we should answer that over here. So more than 2 body paragraphs is indeed necessary for the A2 style, the kill and birdie A2 style there, and the B3 style. So these styles are inherently using more than 2 body paragraphs. And then question number 10 is, does the kill and birdie have to follow the same pattern? So I guess what this question is referring to is the pattern here, what you can see in this Excel video. Excel worksheet. So over on the left, you will see the kill and birdie style over here. And so what you have is one paragraph talking about the introduction, and then now you have one side of the issue, which is the opposing side of the issue. You're mentioning the arguments in favor of it, and then now you follow this up with the kill arguments over there, because you're in favor of value B in this particular case. So that's now those are the 2-step processes for the kill style. You mention the opposing opinion and then kill it afterwards. And then as regards to the 3rd body paragraph, now you're talking about your side of the issue. Then this is now the value B arguments or the birdie arguments. So I guess the question is asking, should it really follow this kind of pattern, value A and then the kill and then value B? So the answer to that question is this pattern, like using value A arguments, which are arguments of the opposing side, and followed up by the kill. This is really the part where you cannot really change the pattern or the ordering of the arguments. But for value B arguments over here, what you can really do is you can also just put this at the top of the body paragraphs before you mention value A. That's really possible. So you can interchange these 2 aspects if you want to. But stylistically speaking, I really would prefer that you use this style wherein you mention the opposing opinion first and then you kill it afterwards. So since it's already killed, then you now go into your own arguments, at which point you're now doing the birdie arguments. So that's the answer to question number 10. Does the kill and birdie have to follow the same pattern? Alright, so having answered all of those, the question now, we're now going back to question number 1, which is asking, how do you know which style to use? So clearly the answer to this question is for one-sided for crossover controversies. Remember that there are only 4 options to use. 4 options to use, and these 4 options, of course, are the kill and birdie, and then, or what we call as the A2 style, A2 style kill and bury there. And then of course the next option are for the B style. So B1 style is what we call the coexists. And then the third style, the B2 style, is what we call the it depends. And the B3 style is now what we would call as the compromise there. So for crossover controversies, remember that there are only 4 options to use. It's either the A2 style, the B1, B2, B3, since there are only 4 options anyway. So what I would like students to do is to really go through the 4 choices and to determine which one is the best among the 4 choices. And then in so doing, you will now come up with the idea as to which of the 4 options are really best to use for this particular controversy. However, when it comes to really, it takes a matter of practice. That's why I do ask my students to do a lot of writing. And if you're just watching these videos and trying to learn from them, I really would recommend that you get in touch with me in order for me to duly evaluate your essays. And really, there's really nothing. Just watching the videos alone is not gonna assure you the band 7. You'll have to write the essays yourself. You'll have to go through the same problems that these writers are asking. And so for one-sided controversies there, so really it's just a question of the A1 style, which is the agree, and then the A2 style now, okay, which is now the kill style. And then remember the question was asked earlier. It was asking whether is a to what extent question, but for all intents and purposes, that's really the one-sided, is really for the A style. So you can actually again optionally use the A2 style, but this is really going farther if you want to. This is really for experienced writers. The kill and bury, the B1 style, the coexist, and then so here we're really going to the gamut of the 5 styles. The B2 style, which is now what we call the it depends, and then the B3 style, which is of course the what we now call as the compromise. So there. So I guess the answer to all of these questions, how do you know which style to use, whether it's a one-sided question, really if it's one-sided you're just thinking of 2 styles, but you can actually try the these 4 other styles. But for crossover question prompts, it's really just these 4 styles. There's really no other option. And so I guess there's really no easy answer to that question, how do you know which style to use. It really is a matter of experience and practice. And you just keep on going at it, guys, until it becomes very automatic for you. So what I want to do now is I want to show a sample of a one-sided question which actually uses the B3 style. There, it's a one-sided controversy, and then it uses the B3 style, which is the compromise. So that's really in answer to the question number 6. Can you apply the B3 style for a to what extent question? And also as regards to question number 3, is a to what extent question always for the A style? So the answer is really no. So going down, I really had a fun time discussing this particular issue. For the March 16 test, the best way to get people to use their cars less is to make them pay a road toll to drive on busy roads. So this is really a one-sided question prompt, and coming out from the March 16, 2019 exam. And so being one-sided, your options are you can either agree to it by just coming up with a number of arguments why. However, so this is what happened here. So that's your introductory paragraph over there. Just read through these 4 elements of the introductory paragraph. That's gonna be the subject of another video. And then here, if you can see, body paragraph number 1 are the agree arguments. One paragraph can talk about I agree to this because this will lessen the use of cars so as to alleviate traffic. And then the next paragraph can say I agree to this so as to help reduce the levels of air pollution in the city. And the next paragraph is going to say I agree to this because it's going to help minimize the impacts of global warming. So that's the A1 style or the agree style in this particular issue. Now, if you want to disagree with a particular question prompt, then you're now performing the A2 style or the kill. So remember, the kill is a two-step process wherein you first mention the agree arguments. Of course, when you mention these agree arguments, then you'll have to be careful to actually come up with a clause such as there are people who say that, or some people say that. Remember, these are not your opinions. I believe I discussed this in a previous video when we talked about the kill and birdie style in video number 5. And then, as you mentioned, agree arguments or the arguments of the opposing side, you now proceed to kill all of these agree arguments. So for all intents and purposes, this could really just be one paragraph, and then all your kill arguments are really just in another paragraph there. So my kill for this particular issue is to lessen the use of cars so as to alleviate traffic. Some people say that, but according this writer feels that lessening the number of cars will not alleviate traffic because it is the sheer number of commuters that actually cause traffic, the sheer number of public transportation and etc., like buses, for example, or other forms of public transportation. So for all intents and purposes, that has been killed already. And then if you want to kill this argument, like some people say that it will help reduce the levels of air pollution in the city, so this is the corresponding kill for that. Lessening the number of cars will not reduce air pollution levels because much of their air pollution is emitted by factories. So with that argument, you actually already killed this particular argument over here. And then the third opposing opinion is some people say that this will help minimize the impacts of global warming. And so you can kill that by saying lessening the number of cars will not minimize global warming because a major contributor of carbon to the atmosphere are actually airplanes and not cars. So that's the second option you can use. You can just use the agree over there, or you can use that's the A1 style over there, or you can use the A2 style, the kill style, when you mention the agree arguments first over here. There, first mention the agree arguments, and then you have these 3 arguments that would kill all of the agree arguments. So optionally, we can add a third paragraph, which is now the kill and birdie style. Remember, the kill and birdie is essentially a 3-paragraph essay. So the birdie style now is the arguments for your side of the issue, wherein you now mention that road tolls increase maintenance costs of car owners, and this is really heavy on the budget because gasoline alone is very expensive. And then you can also say that the best way to reduce the number of cars is to improve mass transportation options so as to encourage people to use trains or public transportation instead. These are all valid arguments, but these arguments actually do not kill the arguments over here. Let me just fit that in one screen. They do not kill the arguments over here, so these are really just birdie arguments, just to add further to your side of the issue after having killed the agree arguments over there. So as you can see, that's how you can answer one-sided question prompt like this. You can use the A1 style over there, at which point you can make that into 3 body paragraphs, or you can use the A2 style wherein all of these are 1 body paragraph and all of these are just the 2nd body paragraph. And optionally, you can now use the A2 kill and birdie style wherein you have body paragraph number 3. So that will make it now a 3-paragraph essay. And then you now conclude by saying, therefore, to conclude, why there are valid reasons why many people push for this proposal, these reasons are untrue, and there are other more effective ways to resolve the issues brought about by cars. So as you can see, in a one-sided question, you can actually use the kill and birdie if you want to. And then let's now look at an essay that actually uses the B3 style for a one-sided question. So there you go. You have the introductory elements over there, so you can just read through that if you want to. There. And then remember, the B3 style is what we call the compromise. So essentially what you need to do first in the B3 style is to make sure that the 2 sides of the issue are balanced. So here you have the agree arguments over here. The same agree arguments as stated earlier, to lessen the use of cars so as to alleviate traffic, and then to help reduce the levels of air pollution in the city, and to help minimize the impacts of global warming. But you can now go into the disagree arguments by stating that Lessening the number of cars will pose inconvenience to car owners because they'll be forced to commute, defeating the very purpose of having a car. That's why people actually invest a lot of money in a car and pay a lot of money for cars. And second disagree argument is imposing a road toll fee will increase the expenses of car owners and will be a burden because gasoline alone is very expensive. Of course, we're not talking about gasoline alone. We also talk about maintenance expenses. Of course, you'll have to change the tires. You have to change oil, and certain other parts of the engine have to be changed or replaced when necessary. So what you have are two arguments for the opposing sides of the issue that are both correct. They're both very balanced. So in order to resolve this issue, you can now go into the compromise style, wherein you can now say that government can impose road toll fees, but making sure that the cost is not too prohibitive. So with that particular compromise argument, you're meeting the two sides in between, so to speak. The road toll fee will not increase the expenses of car owners too much, but at the same time, it will help all of these. It will alleviate traffic, reduce air pollution levels. Another possible compromise is for the government to improve mass transportation options so that car owners will actually be encouraged to use mass transportation options occasionally instead of using the car all the time. And a third compromise argument is doing these two will allow the government to encourage some car owners to take public transportation, while for those who still want to use their cars, the government will still earn revenues from the toll fees. So those are the contents of the compromise paragraph, at which point you can now conclude by saying, to conclude, because it is beneficial for the government and for the environment and for alleviating traffic, government should indeed impose toll fees, but at a smaller cost, while improving mass transportation so as not to duly burden car owners excessively. So that is an example of how the B3 style can actually be used for a one-sided question prompt. Wait, let me just fit all of the arguments there. So that's body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, and body paragraph 3, and there's your conclusion. This is the B3 or the compromise style that can be used for a one-sided question prompt. In answer to the question earlier, can a B3 style be used for a one-sided question prompt? Alright, so we just had a one-sided question prompt wherein we demonstrated 3 possible ways of resolving the issue. This is the compromise style or the B3 style. You can also use the A1 style if you want to. You can also use the A2 style. I mean, these are 4 possible options for you to resolve the issue, the A2 style. And you now can use the 4th option is to use the A2 style or the kill and birdie style, the A2 kill and birdie style. Okay, so that answers that very important question which asks over here, how do you know which style to use? So I guess the answer to that question is in the familiarity with all of these styles. Even if it's a one-sided controversy, you can answer it using any of the 6 styles. Essentially this is really just 5 because A2 is really just a double. So if you get used to all of these styles, can you imagine what kind of problem solver you will be? You'll be a person who is able to solve so many problems in life. And then not only that, you really increase your chances of scoring that minimum band 7 for the IELTS exam. So that's it. That's the end of the video. I really tried to cram it as much as I can. I know the videos tend to be long, but there really is no choice. Like I said before, I can really talk for 3 hours straight. And these are just like 20-minute videos, 25-minute videos. So in case there are questions, remember, all of these styles were actually created as prompted by the question why. There was a point in my teaching career wherein I just had to ask why. What was the secret to the IELTS? And why are students not scoring their band 7s? And so because of that why question, I was able to come up with these styles. And in so doing, I have been able to uncover secrets of the IELTS exam that you will not find anywhere else. So that being said, if you do have a question, do not be afraid to posit your questions in the comments box below, and I will answer them as best as I can, as soon as I can, I mean. And so do not be afraid to ask questions. It is through the questions where the learning happens. I'll see you in the next video, guys. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about. I guess it's time for the C video, so I hope I'll be able to comply with that promise this time. Watch out for video 15. Bye, everybody.